Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Basildon Side by Side International Women's Day Conference. And we are so excited because this is the first time we've had this occasion. It's the first time because Basildon Side by Side, of course, itself is a new organization, and we are thrilled to be here this evening. So everyone, welcome everyone from Basildon, from across the UK who are joining us live this evening. It's really an honor to have you all here this evening, and we are thrilled that you are able to join us. Okay, so this evening we are honored at Basildon Side by Side to have with us, of course, we have Dr. Kupaka, who is the Basildon Side by Side chairperson. We have our first keynote speaker, Jenny Tolhurst, who is here with us tonight. Later on, we will be hearing from the Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris, and we also have with us Sidra Naeem, who is sort of like a consultant to Basildon Side by Side, and we will be hearing from her. So you're all welcome. Without further ado, because we have spent a lot of time already this evening, please join me to welcome to the podium Dr. Kupaka.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Yetunde, for that eloquent introduction. Welcome, everyone, to Basildon Side by Side, first International Women's Day. We hope that you will learn a lot from what we're going to discuss this evening. There are quite a few things we've planned out, which you will see at the end of my short speech. But our mission statements goes to create an enabling environment that supports individuals, groups, and communities of Black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups to realize their potential, address social isolation, inequality, and insecurity by improving the experiences of those living and working within Basildon Borough. So after the mission statement, we just share our vision. Our vision is just to achieve an inclusive Basildon Borough for everyone. As a community, we want to do things. We just don't want to sit down and talk. We actually mean business. And that gave birth to the thematic groups. There are 6 of them. If you look at these groups, we have group on education, economic development, health and well-being, policing and hate crime, community cohesion and engagement, and young people ambassador. These are headed by leaders. The education one, we have people there, and we are hoping people like Sidra will be there because we have potentials, we have professionals who can make a difference in our borough. Health and well-being is headed by me.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Kupaka. Further ado, please welcome with me to the podium of social media, Jenny Tolhurst.
Thank you for inviting me to attend this evening. Finally, I'm really delighted that one of my deputies, Sidra Naeem, is attending this evening and will be speaking later. Sidra is, you will discover, a quite remarkable woman. You already know that, I know. There are people on the panel. There are so many things to say about her and the serious work she does, which will be talked about later. But one thing I wanted to mention now, because for me it captures an attitude which I think is so important, is that everybody, whatever they believe or their ethnicity, should have fun together. And to this end, Sidra organises an annual cricket event between the Chelmsford Mosque and the Cathedral, and it brings people together. And of course, cricket is a game that many people are passionate and very skilled with.
So that was a very interesting talk we heard there from Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States. I felt it was very, very important for us to hear that because I don't think we could have summarized it with the recent events that we've gone through since last year to this year any better than she did there in her speech. And of course, she is a woman herself. So moving on very swiftly, we're going to call on Lady Sidra Naeem to give us the next talk. Lady Sidra, are you ready?
Yes, I am. I'm ready. I feel really, really important because you've chosen me amongst so many important people that have spoken today. I feel really, really privileged. So thank you very much. You always really, really respect me and treat me, you know, with great respect. So thank you very much for inviting me today to this very important event. I'm going to now try and share with you my life story, how everything happened with me, really, how I ended up doing what I do today. Now, it's really interesting that Jenny spoke about her dad and started off with her dad first. And that was really interesting because I'm going to start off with my dad. So my dad actually was born in India. It was India at the time during the British Empire days. And he really, really respected Britain because it was the British Raj at the time and everything. And he came over to Britain in 1962 as a student. And he is actually my largest role model. He was very, very hardworking, very well respected. He did so much within the community. And as you can see in the picture, he actually met Harold Wilson, who was the Prime Minister at the time when he came over. And he always taught us to mix with everybody, always taught us that we need to respect everyone of all different cultures, all different religions, all different colors. And this is actually a picture of me in my next door neighbor's lap, Dorothy. And we actually grew up with her, and she was in and out of our garden. She even crocheted some of my dresses, which I've still got for a reminder of her. She was Christian, and there were no barriers there at all, okay? And then in London, my dad in particular, who was really into British history, he made sure that we spoke English. And he also made sure that we learned about British culture. So this is actually a picture of me on the steps of Windsor Castle. And we learned about, you know, Buckingham Palace and Trafalgar Square and all the historic places. I also supported West Ham United as well. So we were brought up actually mixed with within British culture, mixed with everybody. I started off my studies doing science. I was actually a scientist, believe it or not, working quietly at the back of Moorfields Eye Hospital. And I'm mentioning this for a reason because there are so many talks which I have done recently that have brought in all my science background. So, you know, for example, I've been promoting the vaccine recently. I've been guiding the council, and I've done many talks on the COVID vaccine, which have actually included all the biotechnology knowledge which I had when I did my degree. After that, I became a teacher for a reason, and you will learn all of that later on. I was a teacher for many, many years. I was specialized in special educational needs and disabilities, which then brought in all the knowledge on mental health, which obviously later on, again, I have done so many talks on mental health. It's helped me to learn about special needs children, learn about autism, ADHD, and I'm a chaplain at the moment. All of that actually came about by the plan of God, if you like, which is what I believe, which was me specializing within special needs and mental health. So I was quietly getting along, yes, me quietly getting along with my life. And then there was the biggest bang, really, that I can remember in my life, which woke me up big time. And that was actually 9/11. When 9/11 happened, that week, I lost a lot of friends. I was at that time living in Brentford. It was a very white British English area at the time. And all of a sudden, everybody painted everyone who was Muslim with the same brush, and even anybody who was Asian, without even looking at their religion. And one of the first questions I got, which actually made me very, very upset, was, do I walk 10 feet behind my husband? Am I from the religion where I walk 10 feet behind my husband? And that actually made me very upset, because me being a British person, very strong person, very well educated, I thought, where on earth are these ideas coming from? And obviously they were all from the media. So that is actually what made me realize that I've got to go out there and I've got to put the record straight, because that is not how it is. Okay, so one of the first things that I did, even before I started wearing my headscarf, was I started going to peace fairs. So this is one actually at the Quaker House in Chelmsford. And this lovely lady was actually the mayor at the time. And she came to my store and she had loads of probing questions about, not just about Islam, but about Asian women in general, which I answered very nicely. And she told me I answered them really nicely. So when I did that, then I knew I had the power really to simplify things as a teacher and to explain things in such a way that other people then understand. And I always had the backup of my family, which was really good as well. So my husband, being quite well educated as a doctor, actually helped me a lot as well with that mission. I started engaging in interfaith activities, which I felt was very, very important in order to portray myself as a strong Muslim woman. And here is another mayor and mayoress from another year on the left, who actually came to an event which I had organized, an interfaith event. And something really interesting is, if you see me on the picture on the right, I joined two interfaith forums, one in Chelmsford, the Mid-Essex Interfaith Forum, and the other one was in Havering, the Havering Interfaith Forum. And in a lot of these events, I was the only woman. And that was good, because it portrayed that women can be leaders of faith. It doesn't just have to be men. One way, in fact, Jenny, I really enjoyed her talk, mentioned about incorporating children into activities. And that's exactly what I did as well. So here is a picture of me where I incorporated children into a fun interfaith activity, where they sang a song about how great God was and all his creation. And I did that by integrating, into the British society. I was also invited by so many churches to come and give talks to dispel the myths within Islamophobia, to eradicate Islamophobia, which I could have only have done because I was a teacher. So I had brilliant presentation skills, brilliant speaking skills, which engaged the audience and kept them engaged for hours with question and answer sessions. And I got great strength from all the interfaith work that I did in order to answer questions, sometimes very difficult questions as well. And a lot of these churches were surprised. They'd say, oh, we were expecting an imam to come, but you're a Muslim woman. And I thought, yes, well done for noticing that, because it's good I was a Muslim woman, because I was dispelling some of the myths about Muslim women being oppressed and also being British, even though I was wearing a headscarf. So again, this is Chelmsford Cathedral, where I took some children along for a Christmas service, where they sung a beautiful song about how to help the poor with food. And all the children, they dressed up in different costumes native to the country that they were from. And at that time, approximately, because I engaged with the cathedral, I was asked to start speaking and doing speeches in very important events, like the High Sheriff of Essex or the chair of Essex County Council's services. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I never, ever shied away, me being a Muslim woman, to go into a church. I believe that all places of worship are sacred and we need to respect all faiths and none. So I did that very nicely. And whenever there was a vigil in a church, sometimes caused by these disastrous terrorist activities that went on, I was always there condemning everything, saying, no, no, it's not good. We must not do this. And I would go into the church and I would do a lovely peace reading. Many, many churches, some within East London who were predominantly from the Black African community, invited me to give talks about Islamophobia and me being an Asian woman as was I being oppressed. And I dispelled all those myths, and you know, there was a great liking to me from wherever I went. This one is actually in Billericay. One of the greatest things that I did was to advise the council, and SACRE, Standing Advisory Council of Religious Education, is actually one of the places where I was invited as a teacher to have an input into the curriculum, the religious education curriculum within Essex. So I helped with all the faiths to write that curriculum, and that has been going on since 2003. I get invited to 120 schools per year to go and do assemblies, workshops, classroom lessons on all faiths and none. And this is actually a picture of one of my very first assemblies which I did. It was on our festival Eid, and all the children came to the front and they're dressed up in Eid clothes, and it's really lovely. I also go to places of worship and I host children coming there as well. So 120, and even during the epidemic, I have carried on doing Zoom sessions with the children, with schools. I've been advising Essex Council, Havering Council, Basildon Council for many, many years on so many matters of faith. The latest has been actually trying to promote the census as well. And then I started feeding the homeless. The homeless at feeding started very, very early, because it's actually part of our faith as well, to feel humble and to feed the homeless. And I've been doing that in Havering as well as Essex. And one of the best ways in which you can engage with people from all over the world is by food. Who doesn't like food? So food is actually part of our culture, and that is the best way in which you can engage with everybody. So everyone from my community would make big, lovely, wonderful dishes from all over the world, and we would actually then feed the homeless with those lovely dishes and invite other people, whoever wanted to come. I've had plenty of people coming from the councils to some of these events that I've been organising. And then Jenny very nicely mentioned the cricket matches. That is actually one tiny, tiny little thing which I've been doing, and they have been going down really well because everybody can be united through sports and food. And this is actually a picture from the very first one that happened. And everybody enjoyed it. It was against Chelmsford Cathedral and Chelmsford Mosque. All the reverends came, regardless of what faith we were. And afterwards we had a wonderful, wonderful meal. And it's really interesting, but if everybody can mute themselves, please. I think some people are unmuted. There was also, this is the first time actually that we actually got into the papers. It is very, very hard, and I will repeat this, very, very hard for a Muslim person to get into the newspapers for something that they do which is good. In fact, I have found out the newspapers, and sometimes they say good news is no news, and they refuse to put things in. So it's very, very hard. But when you engage within the British community, within the Christian community, it can be easier to get into the newspapers in that way. So we have worked around that. Interfaith quizzes is something which I have been doing for years, and they go down really, really well, where we engage with all faiths and none. And me being a teacher again, which is why I believe God made me a teacher for a reason, I've got the skills then to portray that quiz in a really, really fun way. For everybody's information, we have got one interfaith quiz night tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to in Havering, which I'm also the quiz mistress of. And then something else, which a lot of people may not know, I became the secretary of Essex Mind and Spirit, which is an organization which is linked with mental health, and how faith, prayer, fasting, meditation can help with mental health. And I do that actually with the Vice Dean of Chelmsford Cathedral. And we have arranged many conferences in the past where I have also done workshops. And it's through that Essex Mind and Spirit that I opened up a women's group, which was for everybody to deal with anxiety, depression, any women who are isolated in their houses. And that was actually very, very nicely supported by Basildon Council. So here is a Christmas party on the left, which we did for everybody. We've got an Eid party on the bottom left, and we've got a Jubilee party. And we even had a Britain's Got Talent competition, which was absolutely wonderful, where I actually did some Bhangra dancing. Yes, I can do dancing as well. I did some Bhangra dancing at that talent show and won the competition. And then we also had Chinese dancing there as well. That Women Together has done so well. We have engaged in so many stalls where I have really empowered women from all different backgrounds, including white British English as well. So here are some lovely ladies who made some crafts, and then we sold them on a stall in Towngate Theatre, which really, really raised their confidence. There is another picture there of Women Together stall. And here is another very, very brilliant mental health conference that was actually organised by Basildon. And there sitting next to me is Bruno, Frank Bruno, the boxer. Now, Jenny mentioned Commonwealth. And during the Commonwealth year, I also organised so many Commonwealth events. And this is one at the university. And as you can see, I've got Ivor Moody, who is the Vice Dean of the Cathedral, who's also chair of the Mid-Essex Interfaith Forum, who also attended. And through some of those Commonwealth events, I met lots of Black African ladies who've got really prominent roles, and I've got them there. I also then started doing radio shows, television shows, and I was very privileged to meet the Queen as well. And for the first time, I got in the newspapers without a battle. But it took something like me meeting the Queen to get in there. So all my volunteering paid off, where I went to Buckingham Palace. And I also met at a different Buckingham Palace visit to the garden party, Camilla, as well. And I'm going to finish off by mentioning that I was very privileged to be nominated to be the very first Deputy Lieutenant from a Black Asian minority ethnic background within Essex, the very first one. So that was really, really a huge privilege for me. And through that role, then I met more deputy lieutenants as well. So here is one here in Hayring in the bottom slide, and the High Sheriff is in the top one. So that brings me to the end. Thank you very much for listening.
So thank you so much, Lady Sidra, so much that you've shared with us there about yourself, phenomenal work that you're doing or you've done in the past, and no doubt, because it's in your blood, you'll be doing more going forward. It's amazing. One thing I do want to share with everybody tonight is that community work, as much, you've got to love it. And if you do it, there's always a reward. There's always a reward at the end of it. You always end up with something that you never expected that you could ever have. So I'm just using it. If we're going to choose to challenge, why don't we choose to challenge ourselves to get more involved in our communities? That's what we challenged the women that joined us on Saturday morning to do, because women are needed everywhere. We're needed in the community. We're needed in, we're needed by the side of the Queen to represent, just like Sidra is now doing. We're needed in schools as school governors. We're needed in the business world as as Kamala Harris said, that we are scientists, we're everywhere, but there needs to be more of us. And there can only be more of us if we're all standing up. We need to stand up and start doing something. It's one thing to come to these kind of celebrations or conferences here of people like Sidra and Jenny Tolhurst, who are women and doing phenomenal things. I mean, if there's time, I'll tell you about the amazing things that I've been doing, but I do it without thinking. Because I do it because I love it. I love being in the community. I love people. I love events. I like organizing stuff. So actually, community gives me the perfect excuse to be me. You know, but all we do want is to challenge more women to actually come on board and step up to the community. And you never know what door is going to open up to you as well. So thank you so much, Sidra, for joining us this evening. I hope you're still with us for a little bit longer. So if anyone has any questions, we're going to take a few questions. If you have a question for Jenny Tolhurst, if you have a question for Sidra, if you have a question for me, for Dr. Kupaka. Okay, very quickly, any questions? Let's take questions very quickly. If there's no questions, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Kupaka, who will wrap it up for us for this evening. Any questions from anyone? Okay, no questions. Dr. Kupaka, are you ready to wrap it up for the evening for us?
Yes, here today, and all the speakers have done a fantastic job. I mean, you can see the CV of our directors here today. I dare not ask you to say yours for Dr. Ray. Sidra, thank you very much. Sidra, you know, I've always, I spoke to you some time ago. I said, come and join us. I'm happy you shared, you know, you have a track record. And these are the caliber of women in Side by Side. We thank everyone that has made it tonight. And thank you, I can't thank you enough, but thank you for staying with us and being part of what we've done tonight. Thank you very much. Sidra would like to have you on board. So many other people we have, I can't mention names, but I can see all of you here. I thank you so much. Please get more information about what we do in Side by Side, get involved, and thank you for a successful International Women's Day event by Basildon Side by Side. Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you. The evening has come to an end, and Dr. Kupaka has spoken, so there's really nothing left for me to say. So I guess on behalf of Basildon Side by Side, we say thank you, good night, and hopefully we'll see you all again next year, but live. We need to go back to live events. I miss seeing people and hugging people and taking pictures. So we'll see you all next year. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.